Hello, I'm Malcolm Gauld. This is Hyde Talk. And Hyde Talk is a series of discussions about education, character, leadership, and parenting. And I am the host of today's talk, and my co-host is Helena Misic, a student at Hyde School, and Tony Rea, an alumnus of Hyde School. And so I think we'll just jump right in. And I just wanted to start what I always ask alums when they visit us is way back when my father, Joe Gauld, started the school, he called it a preparation for life school, whereas most boarding schools or independent schools call themselves college preparatory. He called it preparation for life. So now many years have passed since you and I both graduated from Hyde School. And how would you say Hyde has played a role in your life in terms of preparation for life?
A lot to talk about there, but I can kind of summarize it by saying there was a lot of stuff that Joe went through. And actually, Joe was developing a playbook as the Hyde started in '67. And every year he improved upon it. And during that time, there were a lot of lessons to be learned, and there's a lot of wisdom Joe brought to the table for education that wasn't just reading, writing, and arithmetic. It was more about the character. It was more about you as a person and developing your character as a person. And that was kind of it was a very interesting part, another dimension to the education. And while at the time I thought, this is really interesting, but what does this have to do with me? Later in life, he kind of like prepared us to understand more about the richness of that education and about the character development. And later in life, you realized how valuable those lessons were. And now I look back, I wish I was paying more attention, but it was quite remarkable what he was doing. It was like it was a vision that he had that was like very differentiated from other types of educations.
And speaking of differentiation, I think I'm correct, you were in the very first year of Hyde.
Yeah, I wasn't in the summer school, but
right.
I came in the fall.
But that first opening year,
yeah.
So this had been something else, and now all of a sudden it's a school. Any memories in particular from...
What, are you kidding?
Did your family, what did they think? You're walking into this brand new place.
So there was a funny story there. My parents were interviewing with Joe. I just want to talk about that.
Yeah, go ahead.
We're interviewing with Joe, and my father was chewing gum. And I don't know, he didn't usually chew gum, but anyway, he was chewing gum here, and I think he was a little nervous. So, and being in front of Joe makes you a little nervous usually. So we're talking, and then Joe looks at my dad and says, "Take the gum out of your mouth." And even I was young, but at that point I went, whoa. And so my dad didn't know what to do, and he took it out of his mouth like he was a bad student, like he'd been caught doing something. That's how he was behaving. But anyway, getting back the first year, that was quite a shocking experience in that it was it was the first time I was away from home, really for a long time. I was in a 5-man room. We were above, right on the front, and it was very interesting living arrangements. There's actually no privacy whatsoever, but actually it actually bonded us together, the 5 of us, and we had a lot of fun. There was a lot of stuff going on, and the mansion had not entirely been converted enough to support the students, which everybody was just in the mansion. Right. Classes, dorms, everything was in the mansion. And there was somewhat of, you had to be, I'll just say, adaptive in being able to work the environment, all right? But, it all worked out. It all worked out. But it did teach you about being flexible and being understanding, like, your surroundings and making the best use out of them.
Yes, that was my experience too. And although many things have changed since those days, for example, Hyde was an all-male school then, and Helena, weren't women until...
Wait. No. There was
Okay, correct. Go ahead.
There's one woman, I think the second year, or is it the first year?
You're correct. There was one woman in that first class.
Yes. Yeah. And that was quite controversial, by the way, because back then it was boys, girls, girls schools. There wasn't much co-ed, right? So everybody was wondering what was going on, She only attended for a brief time, and then I don't know what happened. Yeah. She just wasn't there the next year.
Well, that's one thing that's changed. But one thing that's remained constant is just as we were introduced to those 5 words, courage, integrity, leadership, curiosity, concern.
You can still remember them.
You can too. I should have quizzed you on it. But those are still heavily emphasized today. So I guess I would ask you, I mean, any role that any of those have played in your life?
Oh, big time. Like, and they're all fundamental to character, right? And a lot of the education back then at Hyde stressed the 5 principles, and they wove them into the curriculum, and it was subtle, all right, but it became very important. It just, I don't know, it's very difficult to really characterize it, but later in life, you take it with you. You took the 5 principles with you and adhere to them. It's like it's actually part of a moral compass, right? It's teaching you that life is not just about reading, writing, and arithmetic in school. It's also learning about your character and being a substantial person and having a moral compass. And that's what it meant.
One of the things that students have always said, and I've now taught at Hyde this is my 45th year, I think, is, those words sound great, but out in the real world, you're not going to succeed if you focus on those things. We really need to learn more tangible value. What do you say? What would be your reaction to that? What is the place of the 5 words out in the real world?
First off, you can't lead if you don't understand those principles. The other thing is you can't be a good leader, right? You can lead and be a terrible leader. You can be a tyrant, all right? But in understanding those principles as a guide, you can become a substantial person, and actually it's subtle but gain a lot of respect from people. They may say, oh, those don't mean anything or anything like that, but when you get down to it, people see your behavior and they understand that, you're actually can be trusted, and you're a person that they can trust and believe in. You don't announce it. You don't talk about it. You just do it. You act on it. That's the important thing.
And I know you're a father, and have you tried to pass some of those on to your own children?
I beat on them. I torture them. No, I'm kidding. I tattooed it on their chests. No, but look,
so you behave.
Yes. You behave. Okay, You behave. You follow the principles. Yeah, it isn't that you're like looking them up every day or something like that. You just. Even though I have a big picture of Joe over the bed, and I work. No, it just becomes part of your character. You just behave it. You don't. It's rote. All right, and so your kids see the way you behave. Right, and they become they're part of you. They watch your behavior, and and if you're following the principles, it just gets passed on. I don't need to lecture them, and this is the 5 principles, and we're going to have a test, and I want you to write an essay of every
Right.
principle. You don't need to do that. It's behavior.
But as you watch, I guess as you watch the news these days, and some would say that maybe as a culture, we're not emphasizing some of those things as much. And without getting into that, I mean, so do you think that the 5 words are still in step with what the world needs?
Well, it's fundamental for a good character. That's
Okay.
what it is. All right. It still is. It's just that the news and stuff, they're not interested in character. They're interested in viewership. So you can't really look to the news as a guiding principle or they're not interested in that. They're interested in the number of people viewing. So the more controversial I can make an article or a news topic, the better. And it doesn't matter what it means with regard to moral principles.
Okay, thanks. Just transitioning a little bit, you've had quite a career, a professional career in the technical world, and me being a history major and history teacher, I'm sure I'm not going to use the right terminologies, but I guess the question, maybe you could quickly say what you do for starters, and then I'm gonna turn this over to Helena in a minute. She's gonna,
You've got to let her talk. She is
she's
here,
about to.
So I work at Dell Technologies. I'm responsible for artificial intelligence and generative artificial intelligence strategy with customers. So I work to help customers solve their problems and do transformational business outcomes with regard to using artificial intelligence to do that. And so I help them understand how to use it and also help them with the infrastructure required, that is the computers, the networks, and the storage, all that stuff, to enable them to do that, to make their businesses more successful in the marketplace.
So, Mr. Rea, since you've been a part of tech industry for quite a while now, can you kind of give us a brief overview of how you've seen technology evolve, especially AI?
So, I was explaining that this morning at a class. So the way AI has evolved, AI has been around for a long time. And during World War II, there was a rapid development of computers, and mostly due to the military seeing the value in using them for all different kinds of things to destroy things. So what happened was, shortly after that, some of the brilliant researchers in the area of computer architecture started thinking, why don't, these machines can possibly think for themselves. They can possibly behave like people do. But the computer technology was not sophisticated enough to support a lot of this stuff. So as time progressed, slowly the researchers who are interested in artificial intelligence started getting more computer power available to them and started doing more and more sophisticated things with artificial intelligence. What happened some years ago, I don't know, maybe 5 years ago, 6, 7, maybe 8 years ago, there was enough computer technology available to support more advanced artificial intelligence. And so what you saw was a rapid advancement. So what was happening is that the researchers were limited in what they could do. They had the vision and they knew what to do, but they didn't have the right technology to help them do it. And so this probably started in the late 80s, early 90s, and what happened was enough computer technology became available to allow them to do these sophisticated algorithms to develop what are called artificial intelligence models. And these models started to getting more sophisticated. So it got to a critical point, a threshold, where, a year or two ago you saw ChatGPT come along, right? And that was the event that started everything. But that was based on enormous amounts of computers. I'm talking about, to develop ChatGPT takes thousands of computers working together in parallel to train these models, which require tremendous amounts of computational effort. And so what happened now is we're in a technology era where the computers now are sophisticated and have enough power to develop very powerful AI models. And so you're going to see a lot of stuff in the next few years come out that are it's just going to blow your mind with some of this stuff.
Can you maybe tell us more about what we're going to see in the next maybe 5, 10 years, especially young professionals?
Yeah, so what you're going to see is the sophisticated agents. They're called agents. They're going to behave like people. And so they're going to be, what's happening now is even Dell sells a package called a digital assistant. And it's actually an actual person that you can talk to. And this is based on an algorithm, a model, which can actually multiple models. And what it can do is it can talk to you to solve problems like with your laptop and things like that. And you talk to it, and it talks back to you. And it is based, at its base, are these artificial intelligence models. What you're going to see is more advancements in this area where you all will have, not you, but you will have.
You never know.
You'll have your own agent. They're called agents, and they work independently like another person, all right? And so it'll get to the point where you'll have an avatar person who's going to be your buddy, working with you and helping you solve problems, get work done, things like that, so you can be more productive in what you do. And so, and then there are a lot of futurists talking about, well, you know, the next step, I don't know if you have this question lined up, is are they going to think for themselves and be like people? And so that is going to happen. Some people are saying it's only 6 years away.
Well, that is the goal, human-like intelligence.
Well,
Kinda.
Well, yeah, the goal is that for some people. For some people, it's I just want my problem solved, right? And so if I can get AI to do it, that's fine. But it's mimicking, AI mimics human behavior is what it does. And at the most sophisticated level, it is a human. So you're going to see stuff like that.
Thank you. When it comes to students like me who kind of want to pursue a technology degree or work in that field, what should we kind of focus on? What areas of study?
Okay, all right. So one of the things I want to stress is you don't have to be a programmer to understand artificial intelligence and how to use it. If you are, that's great. What I suggest is, what I will say is that everybody is going to need to understand artificial intelligence if they want to be successful in the world and actually get work. By the time you graduate from college, if you go to college, the next few years, it's going to be mandated that you understand artificial intelligence. If you're not a technical person, that's okay. Just understand how they work. You don't have to understand how to program them. If you do like the programming technology, if you like programming, start programming, understand, try to build some models. The tools are becoming easier and easier to use and more sophisticated. So what that means is the barrier to being able to develop a model becomes lower and easier to do for most people. By the time you get through college, anybody can be developing their own models. There'll be a package available. You may be able to download it for free or buy one, and you just flip a few things to personalize it for what you want it to do. So all this will be available, but in order for you to get into the market and get a good job or be successful in a career, you have to understand artificial intelligence. So understand how it works, understand its limitations, but most importantly, understand critical thinking. Because the way artificial intelligence works, right now, it does not understand anything about the context. It doesn't understand what a car, a cat, or anything is. It understands how to put the words together correctly based on its training. It doesn't understand that stuff. So what you get out of these models is what looks like a person talking, but it actually is just something that knows how to, for example, with a text model like ChatGPT, it picks the next best word it knows based on its training. That's all it's doing. So it can put words together perfectly and make perfect sentences, and they look really good. They can all be wrong. It doesn't understand the context. It can put together, you can ask it to write a poem, not a poem, describe a certain insect to you, and it'll describe the insect. If it doesn't have enough information about the insect, it makes it up, all right? This is where critical thinking is extremely important, and this is what humans are really, really good at, critical thinking. And critical thinking means that you look at this and you go, this looks right, but I need to either fact check this or there's something wrong about this. And it's the way you use your brain to do critical thinking to fact check the artificial intelligence model. And they're all based on this way. So you need to be able to have critical thinking and be able to fact check and look at these models and go, that just doesn't look right. And so it probably is not. And that's an important characteristic for you to have in evaluating these models, and also for you as a person working with the AI and being more valuable in the marketplace.
So you mentioned a little bit about how AI is going to affect everyone, not only people who are interested in technology. Can you tell us a little bit how actually other industries are going to be affected by it?
Every industry, vertical market, company, institution in the world is either looking at AI, playing with it, or deploying it. Any professional doctrine, any heating and cooling specialists are going to need to know artificial intelligence. They'll be using it. Some of them will be using it, won't know they're using it, all right? Everything. Medicine, it is burning like wildfire in medicine, all right? We were just talking about a fellow alumni who's a radiologist, all right? What they're going to have is a series of agents who specialize, for example, in certain kinds of cancer, all right? So we'll have an agent that specializes in lung cancer, one in kidney, one in colon, and what happens is they are experts, each expert at looking at radiological images and being able to detect very subtle things in them. Now, these are the agents, okay? So then the radiologist has a problem. So what they do is they make suggestions to the radiologist they're looking at for lung cancer. The lung cancer agent will be looking at it and saying, I think that there's a problem with this kind of cancer with this patient. You take a look at this radiologist, all right? Now, the radiologist may see an X-ray or an MRI or whatever that's a big problem, and none of the agents figure out what it is. He can have the agents get together and have a meeting on their own, all right? And you guys discuss this problem, and you come up with what you think is the answer. And so he puts them together as a group, and they work together. And these are all just computers working together. These agents work together, and they come out. So that's like in medicine, all right? You name any vertical, coal mining, anything, the artificial intelligence helps things get more productive. So if you're in business, it makes things more productive. So why aren't you using it? If you're in a professional doctrine, like medicine, or you're a researcher, researchers are using it to write proposals for NSF grants. I mean, you can have it make an NSF grant for you. You can have it write you an NSF grant for $1 million grant. You might be able to get a $1 million grant. Of course, you need a PhD. You need to be a principal investigator. But, everybody is using it now to be more productive in their careers. Companies are using it to be more productive with their employees. And institutions like Hyde are using it to be more efficient in their operation and also enhance the student experience.
So when it comes to X-rays, will AI be able to kind of predict it a lot earlier than the doctors, maybe?
Yes.
Cancer.
That's happening now.
It is?
Yes. So what happens is it understands so there's a lot of funky stuff going on in that area. But what I mean is that a lot of the hospitals are developing it on their own, and they're not getting together because it's intellectual property. So what's happened is that it's gotten sophisticated enough now where it can detect potential cancer risk way before the radiologist can see it. All right? It can look at the cellular the cellular structure and say, that's probably where this cancer is going to start. And so you can have much earlier detection of cancer. So that's just one example of what's going on.
Thank you.
It doesn't replace the radiologist, by the way.
I know.
By the way, there's another problem with that, right? And that is that when you check, you need to check the accuracy of the model, right? How do you check the accuracy of a model with a radiology exam? You have to have radiologists do it, right? I have to get 6 of them in the room and have them test the AI model to see if it's correct, right? That's an expensive thing to do, right? To get these 6 radiologists together. So you have to test the model, and that's a big thing. So usually a lot of these models get, they're tested up to a certain point. It's a law of diminishing returns. The more you train it, the better it is, but the more you train it, when you get closer to perfection, it gets almost indefinite, the amount of training that it needs. And so it gets to be very expensive. So a lot of times the models are not 100%. They're like 90%, 95%. There's a lot of technology improving that now. But anyway, that's one area.
If I can,
Oh, I was gonna give it to you anyways. I was gonna switch.
why don't you hold on and let me ask one. Why don't we
Absolutely.
You're not
ask
going
one
to
more
let him
question?
talk now. are you?
Absolutely. I was gonna give it to you anyways.
No, this is great. Okay, I think if I'm a head of school and I'm watching this Hyde talk, I think a question that any head of school has is you know that you're trying to squeeze in a lot of activities and learning opportunities. You've got the academic program, you've got the athletic program, the arts, and there's always more things that you'd like to teach than you have time to teach. So where does, if let's just say I'm a head of school and I don't know that much about AI, which would describe me.
I can understand that.
What should I be trying to do? Should I be trying to develop a course that teaches everybody about it, or should I? How do you bring a school into line with it all?
Yeah. So a couple of things. You can actually have the students start to figure out how to do this. You can also bring in domain experts, hire them into the school. I mean, Hyde's done that. That's a significant thing. Or you can bring in consultants and have them develop it. One of the things you can do, but going back to the original problem that you were asking about, how do I make things, more enrich the educational experience, right? You can have teacher agents. You can have them that help the students with their homework. They can actually think about this. You have a digital human. They go to a website on this campus, maybe a secure website on the campus, and they bring up a digital human. At Dell, we have Clara, and we have some other digital assistants.
I think you showed us some of that.
Yeah.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. So what you can have is this digital assistant, this person, talking with them about their homework without giving them the answers. It helps guide them through the educational experience of that the homework is doing. And it can actually help them, figure out, like, well, I don't understand, like, this math problem. Well, what is it that you don't understand? Well, the teacher went from step A to step D. And what happens with B and C? And, oh, okay. So why don't you do this exercise? And let me show you how to derive an answer based on that formula. Or in history, I don't understand the judicial opinion of a Supreme Court judge. I've been asked to write an essay on that. Give me some hints about what I might do. Well, which judge were you talking about? And I don't know, but, pick a judge.
Sure.
All right? And then, okay, so, that judge did A, B, and C. Now, what you might want to do is investigate this area that the judge wrote on that give a landmark decision and expertise in this area, and understand about that. And then what you might want to think about is writing an essay about the pluses and minuses, what the judge left out. And if you're looking at what the judge left out of the decision, you might want to look in these areas.
Okay, good, thanks.
When it comes to your experiences at Dell, how did you build your successful career in AI? What were the strategies?
Well, a lot of that, now, by the way, some of this is Hyde, by the way, but some of it is being understanding behavior with people and being, honest, being, to a limited degree. I'm not with people, but building trust is very important. And having, the guiding principles, I'm not really trying to push this, but I'm just trying to say it helped a lot in credibility with people and having trust. Trust is one of the key basic things. If they don't trust you, they're not going to use you. I'm in my position, I'm like a consultant inside the company. People don't need to call me if they don't want to use me, and then I won't have any work. All right? I am accessed because they look at me as a subject matter expert in a particular area, which is generative AI. So now, and the reason how I got here is kind of serendipitous. I got a degree in electrical engineering after I, got out of college. I went back and I got a degree. And then I was an engineer for a while. I went into sales, but I was in sales of semiconductors, high technology, which I loved. I've always loved technology. I mean, at Hyde, we had one of the first desktop computers here, the Olivetti Underwood Programmer 101. Yeah. I've looked at getting one of those just as a.
It's like collecting typewriters.
Yeah. Well, it's a programmable calculator, but you can do square root and things like that.
I think I remember that. Yeah.
Yeah, we had a lot of fun with that. It was on loan from the company, I forgot. Anyway, always loved computers, but I am myself. I'm an engineer trapped in the body of a salesman. And so I have these two characteristics. I love engineering, I love technology and things like that, but I also like being with people and working, helping them solve their problems. So this has worked tremendously for me, and I couple that with my Hyde education, and it's made me very successful in my job. And so I've had, the other thing is recognizing opportunity and seizing it when you have it. And so I saw the artificial intelligence revolution coming when I was at Dell, when the computers got powerful enough, right? And I talked with my management, and I had them, we need to be in this marketplace because it's going to explode. And so they took my advice, and I suggested they hire a data scientist on our team to help us with the technology. And one thing led to another, and now we're a very successful team.
Thank you for sharing that.
Yeah, thanks. It's great. And thank you for joining us on Hyde Talk, Tony, Helena.
Sure. Enjoyed it. I enjoyed this.
I did too.
And I tolerated Malcolm.
Absolutely.
For this long. It's
Learned a
just
lot of new
amazing.
things.
And as I said at the beginning, we're trying to talk with Hyde Talk a little bit about education and character and leadership and parenting, and I think we covered all four of those to some extent, which is also a nice touch. But thanks for joining us, and
thank you. No, it's always a pleasure being here. I love coming back here and reliving all the torture I had when I was in school. No, I'm kidding. No, I really.
Well, you've been a nice addition to Hyde Talk, and I appreciate it. Thank you.
All right, thank you. See ya.
I'm Malcolm Gauld. You've been watching Hyde Talk. Check us out on your favorite social media platforms. We'll see you next time.